Welcome to Why Such a Fuss, an exciting new channel dedicated to help individuals and businesses to learn more about data protection in a way that is easy and engaging. I'm Cristina from CVG Solutions, and I am a fully qualified data protection professional. I am passionate about educating, empowering, and enabling businesses to thrive. Remember to like and subscribe to this channel and help us to spread the word. Data protection is there for a reason. It protects you, your family, loved ones, customers, employees from coming to harm through the use of personal data. So make sure you click subscribe. Now, get ready to embark on a journey of growth and knowledge as we dive into the world of data protection. A warm welcome back to Michael Mulholland, Data Protection Partner at Spencer West Solicitor. Michael, welcome back once again. Pleasure to have you.
Hi, Cristina. It's good to see you again.
Good. So, Michael, I'm really curious about your stories. How did you get into data protection? How did you end up joining Spencer West? And why are you passionate about data protection? Walk us through your story.
Yes, I've been doing data protection for 20 years now. So I think the first DPO role I had was in 2004, when at the time data protection wasn't the big thing that it is now. So I became, for a motor finance company, I became a DPO because I think at the time it was like, well, no one else wants to do this, or it's a job that no one really understands. And so I used it as an opportunity to say, actually, what is this data protection? What is the 1998 Act about? What powers does it give the individual? And so I learned the concepts of what of the Data Protection Act and about the principles from that role. But I was also doing commercial law and compliance in other areas, and doing training as well, and working mainly in financial services firms. And then I made a decision around 2009 or 10 that I would just focus on data protection, because I felt I was being spread a bit thinly, and I just thought I'd like to focus on one area. And at the time, data protection wasn't the popular area that it is now for most lawyers. It wasn't thought of something that actually this is I can say an area of interest. But I think just choosing at that time was fortunate for me, because you started having the growth of lots of businesses like Facebook and LinkedIn, and then the world started changing. And with Facebook, you collected like a hell of a lot of data, for example, and then it starts picking up a lot of data points about individuals, and you're starting to get building a picture and detailed profiles. And they say that data is the new oil. So at that time, that was a phrase that was going around a lot. And then the European Union came up with the GDPR was being proposed, and then there's been an explosion of the world has changed dramatically, and then we've got the AI as well that's coming as well. So people's attention and their time and the data points that have been collected on them, that whole world has changed now. We virtually live in digital lives. This call is not face to face.
Yeah,
and everything's recorded, and so it was a good area to choose. I'm very, very interested in making sure that people's rights are protected with data. There's a lot that can be used negatively around tracking individuals, surveillance, and so our privacy rights and as a rights as human rights, having good data protection in place is in conformity with that. So that's right. And then I've been working. I worked for two platforms as solicitors firms, so lawyers as well, with AI and with technology. That world has changed as well. So you can work for different law firms as well because of the platform model, and so it gives you flexibility. And there's also flexibility to have different lifestyles. You can live in different countries. You can work anywhere. So the world is changing, and again, yeah, this is being aligned to technology and being favourable towards technological advances, because that's the only way. You can't stop it, so you need to embrace it. And I think being a data protection professional uh, is aligned to those game aims. And what about yourself, Christina? How did you get into doing data protection?
By accident. So I've had a really good career in quite large organizations, multinational, global organizations. Started in project management, change management, that always had an element of data management in it, and risk management. So that's kind of my background. And so I spent 25 years in corporate, working always internationally, having to deal with the complexity of different legislations, different culture, different languages, which sort of adds to the complexity of whatever it is that you're doing. But I find it fascinating. I love it. And then sort of in my last role, I was head of data governance. And as part of that, I was given the responsibility to implement the GDPR within this international organization, which was a UK-based organization. And so that's how I came into contact with GDPR. So this was back in 2017, which when I looked into it, although, like you say, it was the new hot potato
Yeah,
back then. But when I started reading it, I'm thinking, hang on, this looks familiar. And that's when I realized, hang on a minute, we got data protection. It's new, but it's not brand new. Anyway, so I did that. And I suppose I reached a point in my career where I was ready to spread my wings, to go on my own. I didn't fit in a corporate world anymore. I needed to be my own boss, make my own decision, because I think you reach a point where you know what's right. You've accumulated knowledge and experience, and you know what's right and you know what's wrong, or how something should be done, or the best way to do certain things. And I just felt really sort of hold down. I've had enough of corporate politics. I'm spreading my wings and implementing the GDPR for a corporate organization. That made me also realize that the big guys actually don't have any excuses. They've got all of the resources that they need to do it right. So if they don't do it right, it's because they can't be bothered or they don't want to do it. But the small businesses, actually, that those are the ones that need support. Because yes, there is a lot of material on the ICO website, and I would encourage any small business or small or medium business to go and read all of the material. But it's how do you put that into practice? And so that's where I saw a gap in the market, where I could use all of my knowledge and experience, not just in GDPR, but also, in the other areas, process reengineering, data management, records management, change management, project, all of those, they all come into fruition, and they're all element that supports a GDPR implementation. Because when you're implementing GDPR, you're also, doing a cultural change within an organization. So that it's important is to know how to do that right. And the main thing that you got to do is stakeholder management. Stakeholder management is really, really important, because if you don't have the buy-in from the top, you can do all the work that you want, but it's not going to go anywhere. So that's really important. I use my leadership skills as well. And I love what I do. I think I found my purpose. I love working with my clients who, as we gone through the implementation, which I'm not going to lie, for some of them, it's not been an easy journey. They have encountered difficulties, but I was there to support them. They're now on the other side, and they're now realizing the benefit that implementing GDPR has brought to their business. They can now bid for bigger contracts, for public contracts. They're not afraid or worried if potential client is kind of doing a due diligence on them. They've got the answer, they've got all of the framework in place, and they've grown. They've actually grown. It's given them the confidence to expand. And so it's been great, absolute great, seeing my clients flourish and work in a high performing culture. So yeah, so that gives me great satisfaction. So yeah, that's my story.
I can, a lot of that I agree with. Actually, there's a community as well with data protection professionals, isn't it? And we do speak a language that other people might not find,
Yeah.
you know.
Also, what I like about data protection is that you're constantly learning. It's not like I've read the GDPR, that's it, I'm done. You're constantly, there is new cases coming, there is new decisions that judges are making that also to swing things one way or the other. And so there is constant reading, constant discussions. So yeah, I love that.
That point you made about buying from the top and changing culture. I mean, that is so true, isn't it? And I think if culturally organisations are attuned to good data protection, they generally tend to be good organisations because everything else, if their data protection processes are clean and they're responsibly managed,
Yes.
then that reflects well on the company. It's responsibly managed company as well.
Because being GDPR compliant, really, if you think about it, it kind of forces an organization to operate with higher standards, to build trust, build respect with the customers, but also with their workforce, with their employees. And so that drives, do you know what I mean, a coaching culture in terms of management rather than a dictatorship culture. And so you see that in a high-performing organizations.
I couldn't agree with you more. And I have seen that there's the past where there are organisations which wouldn't say don't care about data protection, but they're sort of they regard it as a low priority. But as you say, it indicates there's other things lacking in the goodness of a culture when they're not something like that. Because that's their customer data, for example, or that's their employee data. And if they don't care about that, well, what do they care about?
Yeah, exactly. It actually indicates a low maturity culture.
Yes, yeah, yeah.
So yes, so that's why when an organization that makes a decision, right, I'm going to do this, it's hard because it's not just about putting in place a few policies. It's literally cultural change, and that's why it's painful, but the rewards are great once you get to the other side.
Yeah, yeah, it's invigorating. That's the reason why we do need to speak to each other because you realise actually, because it can be a very lonely game. You're trying to, and you feel like you're, pushing a rock up a hill all the time. But you can be working like to transform a culture of a company. And I know some data protection professionals are really culture comes first, and that's probably quite right because yeah, as you say, you can write down processes on paper, but then they're not being adhered to. Then you know, I
Yes.
think that
Yes. So, but also, what I like about the data protection community is that we all coming from different backgrounds. So we're all knowledgeable about data protection, but because we come from different backgrounds, therefore we bring in different skill set and different knowledge and experience that can actually complement each other. So I think that's why I like it. That's why it's wonderful.
yes, it's a really good community. It's a very healthy community of people and different types. And I tend to see a lot of the DP professionals are they're sort of quite strong, opinionated, and they've got their views and they're ethical, and it's sort of, and I can see why a DPO is needs to be independent and to give advice to the company. And I'm not, I think of the word eccentric, but it's not quite the word, but a lot of data protection professionals are very much well, they sort of stand out of being sort of they've got a unique view of things, and so they can so they can stand back and say, well, this is these are what I can see that
They
needs to
have
be
to be
done.
objectives, don't they?
They do, they do, they do.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Michael, fantastic talking to you
Okay.
again. It's been lovely to hear your story, and lovely to share mine. How can our audience get in touch with you should they wish to do so?
Yeah, you can look on LinkedIn and you'll find me there. And if you look on me on Spencer West and also on Area Grace Law, I've got for both of those firms.
Fantastic. And if any of you would like to get in touch with me, I can be found on LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram. Just search for CVG Solutions. You can also find me on my website, www.cvgsolutions.co.uk, or just email me at info@cvgsolutions.co.uk. If you enjoyed this episode, give it a thumbs up and remember to subscribe so you're not going to miss out on any future episodes. Thank you for watching. Bye.
All right.